Welcome back to She Decides. This week, our incredible host and creator, Staci Swiderski, sat down with Ashley Varnado, author, speaker, former managing director at Bank of America Private Bank, and a first-generation corporate executive whose journey from a small town in Mississippi to overseeing billions in assets is nothing short of inspiring. After building an extraordinary career in banking over 2 decades, Ashley made the bold decision to step away and embark on what she calls a radical sabbatical, choosing health, family, purpose, and reinvention over simply following expectations. In this conversation, Ashley shares with Staci the lessons she learned from corporate leadership, the life-changing experiences that led to her pivot, and why she believes every woman has the power to choose her own path, no matter where she starts. Because when she decides to step forward with courage, legacy becomes her own.
Welcome, everybody, to our next episode of She Decides. I am excited and super pumped to introduce our amazing guest today, Ashley Varnado, who is an author, and you are a speaker, and you are just a wealth of inspiration after being in the banking industry for, 20 years? I mean, managing millions and billions of dollars. And I mean, my goodness. So welcome to She Decides. And we're super excited to learn more about you. Jump into your just wealth of experience and the amazing professional role that you've been in, and maybe talk a little bit how you got there in your personal life too.
I love that, Staci. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited about this conversation too.
Same, I am, and I know our listeners are going to be super excited as well. So I know they're going to leave the conversation and just probably feel so much more inspired than what maybe they were, or maybe they needed that little boost of inspiration from an amazing and powerful woman like yourself. So thank you again for joining us. So let's jump right into it. You are recently retired by choice. After about 20 years in the private banking spectrum, and tell us more about that. Like, what a wild, just 20 years. And I mean, that's around a lot of financials, people's money that you are operating, just wow. Tell us more about that. And what made you decide to take the jump and do something different after 20 years?
Oh, I love this question, Staci.
I know you're not slowing down.
Oh, girl, no. My cup is more full now than it ever has been. But now I have the autonomy to choose how I spend my time, which is really the precipice for me making the decision. So yes, I did make the decision after 20 years in the industry to take a radical sabbatical, a halftime is what I call it, because of a few different things. I certainly, coming from very humble beginnings, knew very early on that I would have to build the credibility in the industry. And I did that throughout my college years. I went to a phenomenal school, HBCU in Mississippi called Jackson State University. Our claim to fame, Staci, was Walter Payton for a very long time, the Chicago Bears legend.
Girl,
and
so
then
gotta love Walter Payton.
Yeah, you know Walter Payton. You know all about
sweetness.
Walter Payton. That's right, sweetness. You got it, girl. We gotta hang out. We gotta hang out.
I'm telling you,
connect.
That's right. Yep.
And then Deion Sanders came. That's a yes, for sure. And then Deion Sanders came a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and decided to coach at Jackson State and just helped to put us on the map. But there were not a lot of companies, financial services companies, coming to our campus. A lot of the big 4 accounting firms, but I wanted to do banking. And so I knew that I had to build the credibility. I am a first-generation corporate executive. And I knew I had to go in head first. And I certainly did that work all throughout college. Certainly interned with my recent employer, Bank of America. Ended up getting on full time there and having just a phenomenal career. Made managing director, the youngest African-American female managing director at the firm at the time of my departure. But there was
because you were
lot,
there for what, 18 years? I want to say you were 18 years
for
you were at
sure.
Bank of America. And then did you know, I mean, you knew you wanted to do something big with your life, right? And be this professional and, you're entering the corporate world. Did you always, did you know it was like through college, let's say, did you know it was going to be in the finance industry?
I did, but interesting story. The highest ranking African American woman I had seen in corporate of any sort was a loan officer, right? I
Okay.
knew leaving high school that I wanted to wear suits every day. I knew that I wanted to have coffee walking into the office, but I was not exactly
You
clear,
had that picture
Staci.
that you wanted. Yeah, you're like, I'm going to look good every day.
I had the picture in my mind of what I wanted it to be, but I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to get there. And so
Okay.
I went to college quite literally to learn to do accounting, to do finance, so that I can move back home to my small hometown in Mississippi to be a loan officer. And I got a break with Wells Fargo in San Francisco, an internship, my sophomore year. My parents, who had never let me leave the state alone, or they were terrified, but this little girl went to Oakland, California. I stayed on Lake Merritt for a summer. I catch the bus to the BART and did all those things. And that's when my world really opened. I was like, listen, there is more to this corporate thing. I can really do this. I saw myself getting off the BART with my coffee. I was like, okay,
Oh
I'm
my
going to make a life
gosh.
of this. And so I did that. I certainly did that. But there were times where I certainly knew I needed a break. And in 2025, Staci, to your original question, what helped me make the leap? I will go in really fast. There were a couple of life events. Certainly, we lost some really important people to us pretty abruptly due to death. And then, out of all the stress and all the burnout, Staci, I had 3 strokes. Girl, can you believe it? I had 3 strokes
Oh my
in
goodness.
2025. October 2025. And it was during that time that I realized that I had not lived the life that I would have been pleased with, right? Had
You
that
knew there
been
was
the end
more
of my
to
life.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
I knew there was more. I wanted to be more
Yeah.
present with my children. I spent the first half of my life really building this career and with unhealthy ambition, if we can,
Of
be very
course. Yeah.
transparent here. Self-awareness is a gift in this radical
That's
sabbatical.
right.
And I knew that if I had more time, that I would start pouring into others and doing some stuff that I wanted to do. So I said and declared, I'm doing a halftime and I'm going to be more present in this time. I will say that it doesn't mean and I won't ever go back into corporate, but it certainly means that I'm taking this very intentional break right now, right, to decide what I want my second half to look like. And so, yeah, there were a lot of things that I know we'll dig into that got me to that radical sabbatical, and that would have me here. But it has been the best decision I think I've made in my life for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love the fact that you just said that, that you decided, and then that's what this is all about. She Decides podcast is really, living the life on your terms. And it,
Yeah.
it sounds like you manifested really hard, in your college days, and you knew what you wanted to accomplish, and you have completely crushed all that and then some. So talk about breaking some glass ceilings here. You're doing it. You are like the living purpose of that. And I mean, you fulfilled that. And yes, it sounds like it was a very demanding career in that corporate world, but you conquered it. And here you are just living the dream. And that's what this is all about. This is what life is all about, right?
Yes, it's so true. It's so true. And, we don't recognize or praise our birthright to autonomy, the birthright to
That's right.
decide. I love the title of this podcast,
She
to
decides.
decide and
Yeah.
choose what it is we want to do and how we want to do it. So often we're put in a box and we live in social norms of, okay, for me, it was, I knew I had to go to college. I knew I had to get a job. I knew I wanted to get married. I knew I wanted to have kids, all those things. But how much of that really, Staci, and I hope my spouse isn't watching this, but how much of that did I really want to do? Or was it just what was on paper that I knew I had to do?
Right.
And
It's
so
like those
I
are
feel so much freedom.
expectations, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And so I'm all about deciding these days and having the power to say no when I don't feel like
That's
it.
right.
Okay.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's like you have to make yourself happy. And who really cares what other
Yeah.
people think, say, do? Because you're making yourself happy. And outwardly, that means you're going to be able to, just spill that across all the people you care and love. And you're going to make them
Yeah.
happy, right? And you've been able to build this life to really, paint that path forward. And I thought that was interesting too. You said earlier about your parents, they were pretty protective and didn't really want you leaving your area. And here you're like, nope, Miss Independent is taken off. And you just decided I'm going to just go live on the edge a little bit. And I always say, that's really when you start to see what you really can accomplish. When you get out of your comfort zone and you get in an area or you're part of your life, you're like, oh, this is scary. But then you're like, that wasn't so bad. You accomplished that. And then it's like, it wants you to keep going. You know, it's just like there's a fire in you. Yeah. And
I love that. Yeah, no, it's true, Staci. My parents were completely terrified. They both grew up in our small town in Mississippi. And it's interesting. When I first said I wanted to do it, it was emphatically no. Absolutely not. We don't know anybody there. You're going to be 12, 14, 15 hours away from us. Staci, let me tell you how much of a rebel I've always been. I went and got a credit card. Now, I would never advise, if you're a college student, do not do what I did, right? Mine was for just reason. But a part of the, reason they were against it is because, again, very humble beginnings. So they did not have the capital for me to go live in some lavish apartment in San Francisco. And in my case, I lived in Oakland. I couldn't afford to live in San Francisco as a college student. And they were like, you're going to have to figure out a way. I went and applied for a credit card, girl. And I did it and I got it. And it was one of the best decisions.
What was your very first credit line? Do you remember that?
It was $2,500, girl. I went out there with $2,500. That was it.
You're like, well, here I go. And it's surprising. Like, did your parents even have a credit card, or were they just kind of more?
They did, okay, but I am one of three girls, and I am the youngest of three girls. Okay. And so they had my older sister who was in college. And they certainly had my oldest sister that they were, still working to support. And so it was really doing it on my own. And I'm going to date myself here. I want to tell my age. My gray hair may be showing my age, but I went and found my apartment. This is what scared them. You look normal. I can't even see it. But I'm going to date myself here because this was during the time when everyone was using Craigslist. And I went and found an apartment on Craigslist, and my parents were terrified. They were like, who is this person that's renting this apartment to?
You are going to get kidnapped. You are going to rob you.
Are you crazy? And, it shows how much we are fearless in our youth, because I was like, nope, I'm comfortable with it. I got approved for the apartment. I don't have anybody that'll be living with me. It was a 1-bedroom, maybe 600 square foot apartment. It was a studio. And they let me go, right? They went out with me. They let me go. At the end of the day, they supported me because they saw how much I was passionate about this. That's right. There was no stopping me. And I will tell you, that was the pivot in my career. My dad says all the time now, he's like, I'm so glad we let you go to San Francisco, because look at all the things you've done since then. And had they held me back and I didn't go apply for that credit card, again, college students do not go and do what I did. But who knows where I would have been,
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about though, right? Living on the edge a little bit. And because it's life, if you don't try, you can't get something if you don't try to get it. And I had asked about if they had a credit card, not to support you financially, but more so I'm thinking, they're like, wait a minute, we're over here, living pretty humbly. We're doing our thing. And here's our daughter over here getting her own credit card. Look at her go. I love it. So let's fast forward a little bit to when you landed your role at Bank of America, the private bank. What was your first job at that bank? And how did you
I came in
to become a director?
Yeah, so I actually didn't start on the private bank side, Staci. I started as a finance intern. I came into one of the management programs and interned there, and honestly wasn't sure if I really fit into the culture because I had worked on a West Coast bank, right? Initially, which is a much different culture from a Southern East Coast bank, right?
Sure.
And so came in as an intern, did a myriad of roles in the finance organization. I really mastered the finance org. And then prior to me moving over to a revenue generating side, which is the private bank, I supported our CFO directly as his CFO for his organization, and making sure that we were eating our own cooking, that we were being good stewards of our dollars as we were looking to make sure that we were managing the financials for the enterprise very, very well. And so I started as an intern, and Staci, I worked my way into some pretty visible roles. Yeah, it was surprising for someone who, again, who had never had the pedigree. If I could be honest with you, first generation corporate executive. I didn't know the first thing. I didn't have a community. I didn't have a bunch of alums that I could call and they can give me the inside scoop. I had to figure it out, most certainly, on my own. And I'm glad I did that. I really found my village, most certainly, with a slew of executives and friends there at the bank during that time.
So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So you land this role, right? And you're really working your way up. With, like you said, you didn't have the pedigree, so to speak. Did you feel like just really like observing, asking questions, just watching the way that maybe some of these higher executives carry themselves, how they speak? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
It was all of the above. I think, it was all of the above. It was very intimidating. I will be the first to say, because you have two scenarios happening at the same time. While I had been in corporate America in previous internships and had worked my way through college in corporate America doing internships, there is a very different culture where I'm from around how corporate really works, right? And not only that, I also had to learn the culture coming from an HBCU, which was somewhat insulated, right? I was the majority. We'll talk very frankly here. I was the majority at my university, where, again, I was one of two who had come into this program or this internship. And so I had to do a lot of learning very quickly. It was a lot of observation. There were times where, again, I carried a bit of a chip on my shoulder because I knew that I was competing with kids who had the Ivy League educations. And here I was coming in and, again, had never really had experience in a full-time position in that way. And so it was very much sitting quietly, observing, being afraid, honestly, at times, Staci, to ask questions because I didn't want to sound like an idiot, right? I was like, I'm not getting in front of these people asking questions. And then I would say about 3 to 4 years in, it wasn't until 3 to 4 years that I really started to get comfortable and learning the flow, and then getting comfortable enough to reach out to executives. I always had the motto, like I would 100% network horizontally, but I would want to always talk to my boss's boss's boss. I want to network with that person, right? Yeah, and I want to make sure that person knows my name. That's right. I want to make sure that person knew my name. They had hiring power, right? They could mention me in rooms that I was not in. And that certainly benefited me in such a way. But yeah, it was about 3 to 4 years of me just like really sitting back, observing, not really blossoming or putting myself out there, because I really had to learn the environment. I had to learn the culture. And I had to learn how to sustain. Sustain in that culture.
Yeah, you're studying it. Well, speaking of that, it's really interesting because, I'm a little old school, and I just think there is something to be said about being in person. All this remote work, I mean, yeah, it's great, and it's, and it's, everybody loves it, and I get it, but, to be seen is a big thing. And to put yourself in those rooms where people are going to know your name, they're going to remember your face. They're going to see how you show up and represent yourself. They're going to see the way that you are dressed to the nines, and you are really impressive. And not that, remotely it's not possible, but it really isn't, not to that extent. I think there's something to be said about, when we're able to be in person and surround ourselves around the right people to get you where you need to be, and really just learn from them as well. Networking is huge. And you can do it right. You can do it in an elevator. You can look at somebody as your mentor, right? And just, like you said, just kind of study and watch the room a little bit. So
there is an art to that. Yeah. It's necessary. It's necessary, especially in a world where there is a demand, most certainly post-COVID, obviously, post-2020, 2021, for more remote work, but there is no replacement. I 100% agree with you, for being able to actually feel the energy of the room or feel the energy of the person across from you. Um, there are certainly ways to continue to grow in your career in remote work. I am not in any way discounting that, but there's something to be said about being in person. I'm a little old school in that regard as well.
Same.
I think it matters. It certainly matters for sure.
Well, I think it matters. And I think that, yes, it's comfortable, and people are maybe getting a little too comfortable with being remote 24/7. But when you have an opportunity to show your face, maybe if you can attend the next conference, and you have the option to do it in person versus remotely. If you're looking to grow in your career, I think there's something to be said about being willing to put yourself out there
I
and
agree.
get to know people in person. That is, I think that's something I would probably argue that point against anybody. It's like, no, I've been super successful remotely. Yes, you can be. But there's something to be said about putting yourself out there and meeting people face to face.
I
And
agree.
not only have not only have an opportunity to get to know somebody, but let them see you, and
Yeah.
observe, like you said, watch the room, see how those big dogs are really, how they're carrying themselves, who they're talking to, how they're talking. I think that's it's inspirational too, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's talk about what Ashley's doing now. Let's talk about your book as well.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I
Can we
am
learn
a
more about
newly
that?
minted. Yeah, I'm a newly minted author, Staci. And so I've done a couple of things. First, I took this radical sabbatical so that I could center myself, get back to myself, and again, have the quiet space, which we don't talk about enough. The quiet space to really get back to who we are and really have the autonomy to decide what we want the next step to look like. And so, in the midst of that, it was certainly a privilege to be able to tell my story in my book called Out of the Yazoo Clay. So, I did write a book, and it was about my very humble beginnings, small town Mississippi. Again, being only 4 generations from slavery, quite literally, to go on and become this first generation corporate exec, but then having the courage to decide to step away at the height of my career and
You're like
pivot.
the poster woman for She Decides. I love it.
I know. Listen, I was like, I want to hang out in person. Talking about in person, I got to come. We got to hang out in person because your energy is beautiful.
That's right.
But literally, so I talk about that journey and all the things that led up to, again, achieving all the things that on paper, I had been trained that this is what was supposed to happen. Education was a first. So many of my ancestors didn't get an opportunity to get educated. But then having the power to say, you know what, in this moment, I'm going to choose to rest. I'm going to choose myself, and I'm going to pivot. And isn't it beautiful to have the opportunity to say, you know what, that's enough. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to reinvent myself in my 40s. And that's what I'm doing.
That is a beautiful thing. And, it's not because you just like, oh, I'm just going to do this. And it's because you worked your tail off to be able to get to that point. And so that's something you should be so proud of yourself, that you intentionally, you knew what you wanted, you conquered it, and you stepped outside of that comfort level to really become this really, really impressive and successful, woman. And then you recognize that, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do now. And that, I wish so many people were able to do that. I know some people just can't afford to do it, maybe at that time. But if they literally, I always say, like, if you manifest, you got to do the work while you manifest. You can't just put it out there and say, I'm going to do this and not do anything about it. You got to every day, keep chipping away to really make your dreams come true, however you want to live your life. And the fact that you're doing that it's amazing. And I can just see just the happiness on your face. And you had
Oh,
mentioned,
Staci.
oh, you're just glowing, and you clearly are just in a place right now where you're just like, yeah, life is good. Life is good.
Oh,
And
listen, but I will tell you on the other side of this radical sabbatical, which is I'm already working on my second book, called
love it.
Halftime, because
I can't wait to
listen,
read the first one. I'm definitely going to
listen,
grab
it's
that.
going to be good. It's good. And it is on pre-sale right now on my website, theashleyexchange.com. Staci, I'm sending you a copy. Do not order it. You're getting a
Oh,
personalized copy from me.
I cannot. Oh,
But
well, thank you.
you bring up a very valid point, right? So many of us feel like we don't have the room to do it financially, right? Is the first thing that comes to mind. And
Life is
certainly
happening. Yeah.
yeah, it's true. But I will tell you, in this radical sabbatical will tell you that I wasn't fully prepared. Like, this was, in fact, a leap. It was the same type of leap that I took going to San Francisco on a $2,500 credit card, girl. Listen, call me the dare woman, right? Because I'm going to jump out there and I'm going to leap and I'm going to see wherever it lands. And that's not everyone's
Like, I'm just
appetite,
going to
but I
do that
say
then.
that. Yeah, yeah. I say that to say this, though. Our culture is one that says we have to delay gratification. If you think about it, Staci, all of us are taught and really trained culturally that you save money for retirement, and then at the end of your life, you get a chance to enjoy all the things you can travel, etc. And we save money
If
for
you're healthy.
retirement. If you're healthy,
That's
and
right.
that's where I'm going with it. You already feel where I'm going with it. So we put
I
money in
do.
the 401ks. We save money for our children's college funds. We even save for our favorite vacations. I'm a bag girl. I love designer bags. I would save in a heartbeat for a designer bag. But I will tell you that there is no guarantee that you're going to get to enjoy all of those savings at the end of your life. I talked about a couple of the events that happened in 2025 that pushed me towards the sabbatical. My mother-in-law passed away pretty abruptly. She was fairly young, Staci, 61. Passed away
Oh,
pretty
wow. That's so
abruptly.
young.
And she was 3-4 months from retirement, like literally.
Oh,
And as I was sitting there in that hospital bed, I was like, listen, this could really be it for me. And I kept thinking, okay, you take the 3-day vacation, 3-day weekends, which is really not a 3-day weekend. You're working most weekends. You're doing other things, right? You get 2 weeks off from
right. You can't
work.
completely shut it off.
No, no. And then they give you 2 to 4 weeks off at a vacation at your job. But do you really ever shut off? And then now companies are giving you these sabbaticals of 6 weeks, but they don't really, most will say, we want you to shut off, but if we need you, we want to be able to,
Be available.
call you in case something blows up. When in reality, Staci, we are not giving ourselves room to actually pause. We don't ever really
Right.
pause. Even when we're sleeping, we're not pausing. And I have started this movement called the Freedom Forward Fund, which really talks about how to strategically plan for a sabbatical. Financially first, right? Because especially in this economy, we are all thinking, how the heck could I ever step away? I wish somebody had coached me
That
on
the
how to do
financial
this
freedom is a
because
big thing.
yes, because I had to tap into my emergency funds, girl. I wish
Yeah.
when I was getting some of those bonuses that I could have said, yes, I'll put money up for my retirement. Yes, I'll put money in my 401k. Yes, I'll save for this vacation, but I'm going to take a piece of it and put it in this Freedom Forward Fund so that I can intentionally plan, right, for
I
this
love
radical
that.
sabbatical. If somebody had told me that, girl, I would not have had to tap into my emergency funds, right? But I want to
Well, yeah,
help
because
other
you don't think of it
people.
back then, right?
No,
Maybe you're
no.
raising your children. Maybe you're, like you said, you're saving for a vacation or you're saving for this. You don't think, and you're in the here and now, right? You're not thinking of the future at that time. Not to this level, anyways. So yeah,
Yeah.
and it goes by so fast.
It goes by so fast. But the reality is, and this is what I want the listeners to take away, there is no guarantee, not to be morbid, but there's no guarantee by the time, if we're only saving for retirement and we're waiting until we're 65, 70, 75 to enjoy it, there's no guarantee you're going to get there. How many people have we seen wait until retirement and then they get sick, Staci, or
They
their
get sick and
body
they
is
couldn't
not
enjoy
in
it.
the right health, right? And then now you have a entirely new set of challenges. Now you have doctor bills that are replacing your kids' tuition. You have all these other things, right? You may not have a mortgage anymore, but you have all these other things. And so I certainly encourage people to think about enjoying the fruits of their labor much earlier. And again, this is not to say that, yes, I'm going to take this sabbatical and never go back to work. No, but it is a very strategic, a very intentional pause where you've planned for it. And you can say, listen, I'm just going to take some time away to make sure that whatever I'm doing now is what I want to be doing at the end of my career, not delaying it. And so in the next book, I guess we're manifesting this next book now, Staci, but it's going to be
that.
how did you do it, Ashley? And it wasn't easy. It's not like I had a boatload of money, Staci, set to the side. Right. We had to make some really tough decisions.
Not like you were a trust fund baby and you had like,
no.
I
told you, humble beginnings. I had to take out a credit card to even get to my very first internship. But I do want to help other people figure out and think about strategically how they can do it if they're feeling the pull to pivot.
Yeah, I love that. And I think too, unless you are literally, you love your career, right? Your profession and life is short. So you, of course, and sometimes you don't love everything about your job because that's not realistic. There's always something you're just like, oh God, I got to do this today. But let me just say 75% of it you really love. But let's say you're in a role somewhere where you absolutely despise it, right? And even if, I don't care if you're 40, 35, 40, 50, whatever it is, there's just, make yourself happy. There's always going to be another door that's going to open. Right. And I get it. Like there's, the financial freedom is it's, we love it. Financial freedom is it opens opportunities. Right. But don't stay stuck in a place that you're miserable.
Yes.
What you got to do to remove yourself from that.
God. And in my case, I can honestly say I wasn't miserable, right? But with my health scare, I then realized that I had been making all this money, but the one thing that I didn't know the balance on was how much time I had left. And for me, that is the most expensive commodity to which we don't have any balance, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I could intentionally be conscious of time, and leverage my time and decide, how I wanted to use my time, even for a short period of time, 6 months, a year, whatever that was going to be. Because again, I was laying there, Staci, not even sure what the MRI was going to say. I wasn't sure. Literally, the left side of my body, I couldn't function. The left side of my body. My life changed so dramatically. And thankfully, I'm moving everything now. And I have a great rehabilitation story.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, it was tough. I was determined, girl. I was like, listen, by Christmas, I want to be back in heels. Crazy overachiever mania. I was like, there's nobody who's going to pull me out of my Louboutins. I want to be back in heels. And I didn't get there by Christmas, right? I tried, but it's been quite the journey to get back. I got there. Yeah. But for me, it was about time. It wasn't about being unhappy. It was like, do I really want to be at my kid's soccer game or baseball game working all the time? Or do I really want to be on planes? Is that how I want to spend my time in this season of my life? And the answer was no. And so I courageously said, I'm stepping away and we'll figure it out. And we've been figuring it out. And it has led to not only me writing the book Out of the Yazoo Clay, but I've been on national news now, did Fox News, Newsmax. It's just opened so many doors that I had never imagined. It is true that in your 40s, you get a chance to rebrand and reinvent yourself. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm having fun. It's scary as heck. I'm not going to lie to you, Staci. But it's fun to kind of be on this journey where every day isn't so routine and you know how the day's going to begin and end. So it's been fun.
Well, and you're happy. You're happy. Yeah. You are, and again, I know you completely appreciate your career, what got you to to this level, but it's okay to say, I want to do something different. You accomplished your, your career, you did that, and now you're building on it. It's just a stepping stone, right? And now you can tell a story, and you can just be happy, and you can be more present in the people's lives that you love and care for.
For sure.
And you had mentioned your husband earlier. Like, I hope he's not listening to this. What did he think when you said, what, I'm gonna quote unquote retire? What did he say?
Oh, he was terrified at first. He was completely terrified.
He was like, you what?
He was terrified. I think, and I don't think it was so much about the money, right? I do think the financial component of it was certainly one that we would have to get adjusted to. We had made some good investments early on, and so we weren't terribly worried about. But the economy now, right? Who cares what investments you made? Everybody is dealing with
Like,
the economy right now, right?
everybody's dealing with it. Yep.
Everybody's dealing with
But he
it.
was
So true, my
supportive.
friend.
He was just like, all right, well, this is kind of a wild thing, but I guess you do you.
It was after
And
the
I'll support you.
strokes, right? So you
Okay.
you
Yeah.
you
So
have
then
to,
he was probably,
yeah.
yeah.
I certainly have to set the stage. So we lost his mother abruptly in May of last year. It was a huge stress on my family. My husband's the only child, and so that was very tough for him. And then after I had my health scare with the three strokes, I think it clicked for him. And so I had kind of toyed around this notion of taking a break, but it was after that he was
Mhm.
like, look, whatever we got to do to make sure that you're healthy and you're here and you're present, let's do that and we'll figure it out. But initially he was just like, he didn't really believe that I would do it because he knows we dated in college, right? I met him in college. And so he
Okay.
had seen
Okay.
the evolution of all the things I had done. And he was like, there's no way she's going to sit
He's
down.
watched
There
you
is no
literally
way.
blossom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
I
he
wouldn't
was, he
say
was
you're sitting down.
skeptical.
I think I think you're certainly, when I say retire, that's why I say that very softly, you haven't retired. You're just, you are, like I said, that corporate life was a stepping stone to now what you're accomplishing in life and where you need to be to make yourself happy and continue
Yeah.
on your success journey. I mean, you've
Thank
written
you
a
for
book,
that.
you're on your second book. You're doing big things and you're using your experience to educate others who potentially maybe would never know, right? And so it's going to make them think a little bit more about maybe their future. And
Yeah, it's so true, Stacy.
it's a
It's
pretty
true. I got a
noble
call this
goal.
morning. I got a call this morning, surprisingly, because this was perfectly timed. I always believe in divine timing. One
Oh
of my
yeah.
good friends, um, who was a CAO at a large hospital system, um, made the decision, which I didn't know until this morning, 2 weeks ago, to step away from his role. And he called me and he said, I just want you to know that I've been watching your post. I've watched your journey. And it led me to choosing to do a radical sabbatical as well. And it touched my heart in such a way. But before I could even get the words out, he was like, and let me tell you about this jump. The day I decided that I was going to take this radical sabbatical and leave the hospital system, I got a call for a contract for $85,000. I got a call for another contract for 200 something thousand dollars. So he's in the business for himself now. And he said it all was because you had the courage, Ashley, to put your story out to the world. And so your last statement, Staci, was so profound, especially in this moment, this morning, this day, where I found that I'm actually being a catalyst for other people, taking a leap of courage and having courage in themselves to really step out right now. Again, it's not for the faint at heart. This is not everybody's journey.
No, right.
But just to hear
No,
that one story let me know that it was necessary for me to put the story out in the world and show people that it can be done. So yeah, it's been really inspiring for me as well to just watch others achieve their goals.
well, and clearly you're very inspirational to others. And even when you don't think it, right, you don't realize people are listening to you, watching you, reading your book, and just to inspire others. Like I said, you haven't retired. You're just on a whole nother elevated journey, is what you're doing, right?
A
And the
whole new
timing of it
highway,
too. You
girl,
said,
one that I never even
I mean,
imagined.
yeah, you are.
Goodness.
Yeah, we're talking about you're hitting a whole new road there, right? And just you're in it for the journey and you're happy, and that's what it comes down to. And I mean, and especially being such a powerful woman, such a powerful independent woman, and you've made that decision to say, oh, I'm going to switch gears here. But yeah, the timing of your friend to leave a CAO role, to tell you about it this morning. I mean, wow, like you said, it's the divine timing. Sometimes is like when you hear that information and how much you have touched clearly his decision making. That's
Yeah.
pretty inspirational. So I have a few questions here that I would love to learn a little bit more. I haven't even looked at my questions at all
Oh my
because
gosh, we're
I didn't
natural.
need to,
Listen,
because we're
kindred
naturally, yeah.
spirit.
So a lot of them, yeah. I mean, I know what I'm going to ask you, but like I think we've really answered most of these. But what is there for any women listening right now
Yeah.
who really wants to grow professionally, right? but they doubt whether they're ready for that next opportunity or take that big step. What would you tell them? Even though I know we've covered some of this, but let's say maybe it's a younger woman, right? She's fresh out of college or even fresh out of high school. It doesn't matter, right? They're saying they're, teens. It doesn't matter, but they know what they want. What would you tell them about making really bold decisions and trusting themselves at that point? Because again, at 18, 20, you don't really know what you want to do when you retire, but the here and now, and you have a little hunch. Like you said, you knew that you wanted to look nice, dress up, and wear those nice, grab those the nice bags, and that made you feel good, right? And but what advice would you give to the younger generation right now?
I love this question, Staci. There's a chapter in my book that speaks directly to young aspiring professionals. It talks about using your voice, right? There is this thing that happens sometimes in corporate, to pivot just briefly, that it can be considered reverse ageism. You're too young. You haven't earned enough stripes. You haven't had enough war wounds for your voice to matter. And in my book, I talk directly to young professionals about making sure that your voice matters. And that really leads into my answer to this question. For any young aspiring professional, and it doesn't have to be corporate, it could be anything that you desire to do.
Whatever, yeah.
Just know that that dream was really placed inside of you for a reason, right? It isn't coincidence that you are having the desire to do more and being pulled to more. I would say to honor that. Honor that. Don't ignore it for what may look.
Sit with you. Yeah.
Yes. And don't ignore it for what may look good on paper. The mistake I made, which I will say, I got to take that back. Let me retract that. It wasn't a mistake, but I was so focused on doing what looked good on paper, following the book to a T, etc. When in reality, you have to listen to your passion. Know that you have been given that dream for a reason. It wasn't placed in you just because. And you have to honor that. And then you have to work your tail off to get it. And what does that mean? It may not mean vertical trajectory immediately. It may mean that, hey, I have to get experience across the board, right? And deepen that experience in order to get where I want to be. But know that you have the power to do it. Listen, if a small girl from Mississippi, the Mississippi Delta, can set her eyes on her goal and decide that she wants to go and work at the second largest bank in the country and be, the youngest managing director, youngest female African-American managing director, then surely your dream can come true. You just have to put in the work. That's number one. The second thing, if I could add a second thing, Staci, is you have to network. No man or woman is an island. And so if you believe that you're going to be able to go after this goal by yourself, you've already started at a deficit. Find people that are doing this today. Find people who are in the field today, and those who are already living a life that you desire. Right. And not just material wise, like anybody can get rich. I say that, like anybody can go make money, but people who are truly happy with what they're doing, find those people. And what I would say is really build authentic relationships with them, not the typical networking type relationships where it's very transactional. Build authentic relationships with them so you can learn from them, sit at their feet, understand how their journey went, what they did, and certainly lean into those relationships in an authentic way. So again, you have folks that you can tap into. I call it my board of directors. Yes, I have a board of directors. I don't have a nonprofit. I don't have a company, but I have my board of directors, people who represent different things on my board and different skill sets. And before I make any big decision, I tap into that board. And I did not create that board after I became a managing director. It was when I was an intern. And after that 3 to 4 year period where I observed people and said, listen, these are the people that I really want to tap into. I want to tap into their knowledge. And I made sure that it wasn't transactional. It was a real relationship. These are still very real relationships that I carry to this day. And so, one, recognize that you have this passion. recognize and have the courage to go after it, but really tap into and create a village, a network, a board of directors around you who could help propel you to where you want to go. And the third thing I would say, and last thing, your voice matters. It really does. Don't let anybody squeeze you out because you don't have, the war wounds. Oh, death to war wounds. Why do we have to have war wounds for our opinions to qualify? You don't have to be beat up or beat down. Like, your voice matters. Your perspective
what
matters.
Your age is. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And advocate for yourself. Advocate for what matters to you. And
for
what
sure.
You really believe in. And I love that, that advice that you just shared. And also, of like you had mentioned, to get to know those board of directors, right? Get to know those people that you really, find inspirational, and because once you do that, they're going to be authentic, and that's how you're going to learn, right?
Yes.
You want people to be, being authentic, and because I'll tell you, success is not a straight road. You're gonna stumble along the way. There's nobody that's reached this great amount of success by it always just being easier, and always just like, oh, yep, I haven't, come across any hurdles. People fail, but they get back up. And I think that's so important. So don't give up. If you're having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month, if it's something that really is, really true to your soul that you really want to accomplish in life. And maybe it's for a short time. Maybe you're going to go down that path for a year, 5 years, whatever, but it's going to continue you're going to have that experience to continue for those stepping stones and accomplish in life. And that way, at the end of our life, whatever that may be, we can just feel accomplished. We're like, you know what? I went after that damn thing. I did it, and I'm happy. And without those regrets.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. I did not want to be the 90-year-old woman. Yeah. I pray to live a very long life. I didn't want to be the 105-year-old woman who said, dang it. There you go. At age 40, I should have just taken the leap. And I want to be right. I lived it. And I'm good because I got a chance to take the leap. And so that's the message. Like, take the leap. Take the leap.
Take the leap. Just do it. And it's okay if you fall, just get back up, right?
Yep.
That's what it's all about. You learn from those mistakes, Sometimes we have a little more than others. That's okay. It's okay. As long as you come outside, out of the other side happy, and you feel, and I think also it's important too that you feel a sense of success within yourself. You don't have to be everybody's success picture board, right?
Yeah.
So let those judgments go. As long as you're happy and you've reached your success, you don't have to be a huge executive. You don't have to be whatever it is, an entrepreneur. Whatever it is that makes you happy, you do that. And I think that's what life is all about. And that's what you're living the dream right now, because you've paved that way, and you've manifested, and you've worked to make those manifest, that to come true. So that you are such an inspiration.
Oh, thank you, Staci. I hope that I can help somebody with my crazy journey. There's going to be a lot that they're going to write at the end of my life. Oh yeah, she quit her job at age 40. Like, it's going to be an interesting read. It's going to be such a good story. I want to make sure this is juicy enough so people will have something to write about, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It already is juicy. So I can imagine you're going to accomplish so much more. So you didn't quit, or you didn't, you didn't quote unquote retire life. You just are moving on to something that is you're going to continue, just like I said, breaking those glass ceilings and doing amazing things, and not, you had just mentioned you hope you can be inspirational. You already are. I mean, like you said, look at your friend, that is, you inspired him to go after his dream and live his life. So you're already doing it. So I know you're going to continue to do amazing things. So this has been such an amazing time speaking with you.
And thank
getting to know more about you. And again, you just bring just a special light. And I know the listeners and everybody watching they're going to be so inspired by you. So thank you again for spending your time with us. I do like to end our episodes with our She Decides 5. So 5 quick, fun questions that will let the listeners and myself get to know a little bit more about you. All right, here we go. Are you a gold or silver jewelry girl?
Oh, gold, girl. Don't you see all this gold?
I was going to say, I see it. Like, you're gold. I was going to say, I see that, Julie. I've seen it. You've been blinging since you joined. And I love also your nails, by the way.
Thank you.
Nails are so
Oh,
pretty.
funny story about my nails, Staci. Funny story about my nails.
Colors, gorgeous.
This is the first time I've had color on my nails in all these rings, girl. I look like a crazy person. But
look at you. I love it.
I got color on my nails for the first time last Friday, and it was so liberating. I would typically wear the nudes because I was in corporate. Even when I go on vacation, I would wear the nudes because I'd be like, I may run into a potential client or I may run into one of my current clients and I don't want them to see me with these crazy nails. I literally was in the nail shop and I was like, let's do it. Let's go after it. It's been what, close to 6 to 7 months since my retirement. And so, yes, I'm all about the crazy nails these days. I may go back to my nude, but I'm going to explore a bit. So, yes, I went and had a drink to celebrate the crazy nail colors.
Absolutely. I think you need to do a cheers, have some cocktails and absolutely live that life. I love it. I know. Well, it's funny. I usually do like soft pinks, like very soft tones. And it's been like a year and a half and I did like this reddish.
I love it. It's so good.
But now it's kind of growing on me. I'm like, oh, because usually I just don't. I'm like, oh, I'm too old, or my hands look, I don't have the nice 20-year-old hands. But I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm gonna try it. It's not permanent. In 2 weeks.
That's right. That's right.
My boring colors. But I think I'm liking it. Maybe next time I'll do even something funkier. So
we're gonna go get neon green. I just decided I'm flying to where you are, and we're gonna go get our nails done neon green, and we'll post it on Instagram.
Yeah, and we're gonna have some cocktails, and we're gonna cheer to so they can see our nails.
I love it.
Here we are. I love it. All right, so you are a gold jewelry girl. The next one, would you rather have a spa day or a beach day?
Oh, a beach all day long. Put me in front of water. I'm a Scorpio too, a water sign, so I'm all about being in front of the water.
You're a water sign.
Yeah.
I love. There's nothing a beach can't fix. Let's see, a coffee date or a champagne night?
Oh, a champagne night any day of the week.
With that.
Yeah. With the Caesar salad and French fries on the side, you had me a hello. Champagne nights.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny because I'm the same way. I always get a salad, but I always want and I'm not making this up, I swear. I always have to have something fried with it, whether it is mozzarella sticks, whether it is French fries, onion rings, I don't care. It's not I have to have that something fried with that Caesar salad. So it's about balance, right? That is so funny you said that. I'm not the only one. All right, 2 more. Are you a more heels and blazer or gym shoes and athletic?
I am still a heels and blazer girl. Listen, you can take the girl out of corporate, but you can't take the corporate out of the girl. So that's my jam.
That's right.
Heels and blazers. But I have 2 sons. Both of them are into sports. And so now that I'm on this radical sabbatical, I have been looking at more tennis shoes and, getting to be a hip mom now. So, whatever that means. But, my preference is
whatever that means.
Heels and blazer.
Yeah, I'm a heels girl too. Maybe you should. Maybe you already have them. You might do. But what are the sneaks from Sarah Blakely? How she has the gym shoes with the heel.
I've been seeing them, and I had a girlfriend to buy them, and they're so cute.
They're super comfortable.
Oh my gosh! Okay, this is my sign to go and buy them. Thank you, Staci.
Yep, this question inspired that. When she first came out with them several years back, I'm like, oh, they're kind of. I'm not feeling the look, right?
Yeah.
But since then, she's got some all black ones that are super cool. Some so now I'm like, I think I'm gonna get a pair because I haven't gotten any either, and I'm a heels girl. So.
Okay, so we're going to get our nails done.
Maybe you and I both have to.
Listen, we're getting our nails done, neon green. We're gonna go have champagne and salad and French fries on mozzarella sticks, and then we're gonna get some sneaks, and we're gonna make this a moment. We're manifesting that right now.
We are manifesting. We're gonna blow up social media.
We're gonna blow this thing up. We're going viral, girl.
Come see how cool we are in person. We're gonna go viral. All right. The last question, more about jewelry. Do you like diamond studs or a layered necklace?
Oh, I love a layered necklace. I love a layered necklace. It's so interesting.
Same.
I was really into Chanel jewelry after I could afford it, after I reached a certain level of success. And every time I get a big accomplishment, I'd go get some necklace. It may not have been Chanel, but just the layering is what I always loved. And do you know
Yeah.
My therapist was like, you have all this stuff, and attached to all those necklaces and bags is you trying to cover for, whatever you accomplished or didn't accomplish or you didn't get a chance to do, or your guilt. And you got to give that stuff away. Do you know, Staci, I've been giving away all my Chanel necklaces. Like, I've been giving away my jewelry, my bags. I do these Instagram lives. I'm not even joking. And I tell a story with each one of those bags. And all the people have to do is like do a claim, and then I send it to them because it's been therapeutic for me. So, girl, if you're into long layering necklaces, I got plenty of them. I'll bring those with me when we get together, and then you just choose from what you want. I've been getting rid of all that baggage, girl. Getting rid of all that baggage.
And you are just like, yeah, you're like out with the old and with the new, whatever you want to do, and it feels good. Like you said, it feels good to give too. Yeah. That is like I'm such a giver, so that makes me so happy when I can do that. Well, I recently just launched a jewelry line.
No way! I can't wait to support you.
Yeah, I did.
Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. I just recently launched that. It's still a baby, only about 7 months old, and it's called She Decides Collection is the name of the website. So I have my, I'm still doing my executive role. I'm a CEO founder of Family Source Consultants, which is a family building surrogacy and egg donor agency. We'll be celebrating 20 years in January. But I knew I wanted to continue. I wanted another company. I wanted another, just something. And so then I launched my company. And really the podcast from a year and a half ago, She Decides, was first. And then talking to all these amazing women and just really women having a voice and supporting women. And so then I launched the jewelry for like a feel good, to make women feel, beautiful. And sometimes it could be something simple. Like I wear this herringbone bracelet, and it is just a plain herringbone. But if I leave the house without it, I'm like, I will turn around and go back and get it on. It's just something about it makes you feel more put together.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just, again, living the life that we really want to live. And I think that's what it's all about. So
cheers to you for having the courage. You're the poster child, of course, for She Decides.
Well,
I gotta go and support. Like I'm gonna go buy some jewelry today. So yeah, I cannot wait to support you. You're such an inspiration, Staci. That's so amazing.
Sweet. Well, thank you. But this is all about you today. This is all about you. But it's about, strong women.
It's about us, girl. It's about us, okay?
That's right. That's right. It's like, hello, like we're right here. And we will celebrate with our salad and our fried food and our cocktails and our jewelry and our sneaks. We're going to do it all. So, well, this has been so much fun, Ashley. Thank you again for spending your day with us. I know you're busy but my goodness, like you are such an inspiration, and you are going to continue to just really reach for the stars and accomplish so much in your life. And I can't wait to read your book. I can't wait for your second book to come out. So all awesome things in store for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait until our date. I'm looking forward to it, girl.
Me too.